The full-scale end result was about what we expected, but a little bit of a weird game in South Bend on Saturday afternoon.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Welcome to your Saturday evening post-game live. It is brought to you by Mazda. Like players, Mazda sweats out every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Mazda, move and be moved. What's up, Wolfpack Nation? As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. NC State falls 36-7 in South Bend on Saturday evening. A little bit of an odd game. It was not quite what I expected from both Notre Dame and NC State, but a 37-6 drubbing. Ultimately, the feeling here is what I expected to feel. Kenton, your overall thoughts of this lopsided loss?
I don't think this was an odd game at all. I think this was a team that did not respect NC State at any level, showing that they did not respect NC State at any level. If you look at the reasons the game was close early, again, it's because they do not respect this team at any level. And why would they? Why would they? They played disrespectful football and won 36-7. So why would you have to play I'm on my P's and Q's and everything is buttoned up and spick and span football? Why would you? Why would you? What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. And this game solidified something that I had long believed, but it became official in this game. I knew at the start of the season this team was going to win, not be a 6-win team. This wasn't going to be a 6 or 7-win team. I knew at the start of the season this team was going to win 5 or less, 8 or under. I was about 80% to the 5 or less side. After seeing this game, you cannot pull me away from the 5 or less side. I would legitimately be shocked if this team got to 6 wins, and I mean that. You're at what, 4-3 right now, Grayson? Am I correct there? 4-3. Okay, so even if we counted Florida State and UNC, I guess that would give you 6. But Florida State, I'm not exactly sure you could get. I'm not exactly sure you get that one, but maybe you could. Maybe you could, because the ACC is having a really down year as a whole. And some of the teams that are on our schedule remaining are pretty down. But this is disappointing, man. This is it. It's one thing for Notre Dame to play bully ball with offensive line and running game that you just can't match up with. DJ Elliott and his boys fought and battled and scrapped and clawed and gave you what they played well above their heads tonight. And offensively, we produced 7 points. Not only that, down the stretch, why are we still keeping our starters in if we're resigned to, hey, this game is over? Why are we getting Hollywood 3 touches on a drive like that? Where it's like, oh, yeah, well, if he would have gotten hurt, if he would have gotten seriously injured on a play where you're down 29 trying to run the ball, to run the clock out, I would have got up to Notre Dame my damn self. I would have gotten up there myself to say, oh, no. Somebody got to see me. Somebody got to see me. As a matter of fact, just line up. We'll shoot the fair ones one-on-one in a line, because this is ridiculous. It was just an embarrassing game. And again, this solidifies. I'm 99.9% sure now that I was correct in my prediction of 8 or more or 5 or less, and I'm 99.999% sure that it's on the 5 or less side.
Based on what we saw tonight, it's not going to instill much confidence moving forward, especially because you still have some extremely difficult games on the schedule. Offensively for the Wolfpack today, what a mess. What a mess. And I believe, we've talked about it against Duke, and so at some points in the other games, especially the Virginia Tech game, CJ Bailey just doesn't really look that confident against defenses that have a pulse. Because last week against Campbell, well, yeah, it's Campbell. So he's going to throw for 350. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. He's bouncing around. He's having a great time. From like the first drive of the night, NC State came out and they looked around. It's like, oh my God, this is Notre Dame. Oh, they wear gold helmets. Oh my God, the myth is true. And then we played like that. with the exception of the touchdown pass to Terrell Anderson. That was great. I mean, we know that he's wide receiver one. I think there's no doubt there.
But hold on, Grayson. Hold on, just real quick. On that big play to Terrell Anderson, this is the part that pisses me off the most. Even before the game was over, it seemed like this team had packed it in and was designed to letting certain things happen. Because to me, a trick play is not taking a risk. A risk is coming in with the idea, we're going to throw it deep all night long. We're going to launch that thing. We're going to let it fly all night long until they back up, and then we may do something differently. But correct me if I'm wrong, Grayson, their DBs didn't. They didn't feel the need to back off. There was no need to say
didn't have to.
Big soft zones, big soft cover. So why we did not say, oh, okay, this thing that worked one time, let's do it again. Let's do a different variation of it. That is the part that I don't understand. I don't understand. We talked about this all week. KVA flies downhill. He flies downhill. He flies to fill a hole. These linebackers, they fly to fill a hole. They're nickel. They fly to fill a hole. They fly it. They fly downfield. They do not take their time to read what's going on. If they get the slightest hint of a run read, they're right downhill right away. And yet we kept saying, first down, we need to run the ball. We don't want them pinning their ears back. Hell, let them. Let them. And then offensive line-wise, we're supposed to be good enough at the tackles with a guy that's a super senior, made the freak list and Ja'Carius Peak on one side and Teague Anderson on the other, a guy who may not have played Power 4 football, but you got 4 damn years of college football experience under your belt. Let them pin their ears back. And I trust my guys to get it done. I trust Spike to be a super freshman. And if anything, I'm okay with a little bit of pressure coming from the inside because at least he can scramble out, figure out something there. And then, like you said, CJ looking unconfident, that throwaway interception. What the hell is his problem with just saying, I'm going to give a kid a souvenir today? What's wrong with that? This to me, the coaches in terms of game plan was not there. The players in terms of execution was not there. I will give them. They played hard to start this game off. I'll give them that. I can't watch this game and say, hey, this was not a team that gave effort. They did. They did. But to me, I look at this and I just say, well, for crying out loud, can we put it all together? Players, can you show up when it matters most? Offense, can you show up when it matters most? We talked about how great y'all were, how phenomenal you were all season. And then when it matters most, in a moment like this, you pull an avatar. You vanish when the world needs you the most. What's going on? It's really just disappointing. And again, this is another nail in that coffin that's going to say, here lies the tenure of head coach Dave Dorn.
Yeah, and extending your point, either in the first half, shockingly enough, the defense holds Notre Dame on the road to just 10 points. Everybody's looking around like, wait a minute, 10 points at half? We're only down 3 points at half. This isn't actually going to happen, right? And then, I mean, the second half is kind of what we expected to happen from there on out. History repeats itself. However, yeah, I thought the defense played pretty well in the first half. I think extending upon Kenton's point that Notre Dame did not respect NC State, I think some of the play calling you saw from the Irish in the first half is indicative of that, especially rolling out CJ Carr twice on 4th down in the red zone. Why? You have maybe the best 1-2 punch in your backfield in the country, but you're like testing out rollout plays. And I don't know what that was, but it looked like they were kind of just experimenting with us. It looked like they didn't respect us enough to just essentially ram it down our throat and do what they should have done, put the points on the board. They'd rather test things out that maybe they can use later on in the year. That is what that felt like. And so that is like arguably more embarrassing than getting blown out in the second half. This team didn't respect you enough to just end the game in the first half. I don't know. Let's get into a quick ad read. This will not be a very long post-game live. I have something to run to. Let's get to a quick ad read. Here we go. Our first post-game live sponsor is Mazda. Mazda delivers confidence in every ride with more oh my gosh, butchered this. One more time. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety pick awards than any other vehicle. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat out all the details. Mazda brings the same intention in how they craft each and every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, with smooth handling and intuitive controls. Like players, Mazda sweats out every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, second half of our relatively quick post-game live here tonight. Again, 36-7 loss in South Bend. Touched on the defense. They played well the first half. Obviously wilted down the stretch in the second half. That is to be expected when the offense cannot stay on the field. I want to talk a little bit more about these interceptions that CJ threw, namely that one that Kenton already referenced, rolling out. The play is essentially, the play is over. But instead of throwing it out of bounds to live another day, you just kind of carelessly floated up in the air right into the hands of a Notre Dame defender. And that happened essentially twice. So to Kenton's point here, how is this not being coached into CJ Bailey? You cannot make mistakes like that. You cannot carelessly just float the ball into the abyss and hope for the best when you let it go. What is that? Because we saw the same thing against Virginia Tech. The only difference was he didn't throw it. He just kept it and took a sack for a loss of 7. What is that? Who is allowing him to do that in practice and in games? That's what I want the answer to. That's unacceptable. And there were several other flaws in the offense as we saw. I mean, Hollywood Smothers, God bless him, he did the best that he could. But when you're running into a loaded box, especially on first down all night, I mean, you get what you can get, but that's really it. What more do you expect there? CJ did not look confident with the ball in his hands. I thought the play calling at times reflected that. And we've talked about that in the past as well. Just an offensive disaster from start to finish tonight.
It was soft. It was soft. It was really a soft performance by the players in terms of execution, by the coaches in terms of game planning. It was soft. It was soft. And this team disrespected you in every single way imaginable. They did not take you seriously. They did not think you were worthy of their A+ stuff. This is like a pitcher who's everybody knows he throws heaters. That's his thing. And he's like, this kid can't even hit my breaking ball. Do I have control of it? No. But he's probably going to swing at it anyway, even if it's 3 feet off the plate. That's what we just saw. That's what we just saw. Them saying, oh, yeah, we should do this. But we can it's if you ever played basketball before, it's called the whoever offense. You know what that means? Whoever you're checking, get them the ball. Whoever you're checking, get them the ball, and we'll figure it out. We saw so much that was we saw so much that was so it's so infuriating because we continue to fall back into old habits and old patterns that we have seen over the course of nearly a decade do not work.
Yeah. This
idea of, we've got to run the ball every time on first down. Who told you that? Who told you it's against the rules to throw the ball on first down? Who told you such a thing? CJ Bailey, who told you it's illegal to throw the ball out of bounds once you're outside the pocket? One of the plays, the one that I was referencing, that it was the really egregious one, the play was a designed rollout. What? Brother, you're outside of the tackle box. Give some wonderful kid in South Bend a souvenir. Go ahead, give him a souvenir and go on about your way. Instead, we get what we get there. And this game wasn't good enough by anybody. But I will applaud the defense. I will applaud the defense because they hung tough and hung tight. And the difference between how we're treating the defense and the offense is because of, number one, expectation, but number two, actual result, right?
Exactly.
We've talked about this before in terms of different groups are going to have different, we'll feel differently because they're expected to do a certain thing. Grayson and I both predicted that the defense would give up 50. How many did they actually give up, Grayson?
Only 36.
Only 36. And when we really get into the math of it, 2 were on the safety, so that's 34. And then how many of those points came as a direct result of a turnover that put them at the plus 30 or deeper? You see what I'm saying? I know at least one touchdown. I know at least one, maybe more. So you're looking at minimum, 9 points off the board from the defense that, they ended up taking at minimum. Could be more. So at minimum, they gave up 27 in essence. I'm okay with that. If you would have told me coming into this game, The Wolfpack gonna give up 27. How you feel about it? I would have been geeked up. You know why I would have been geeked up? Because number one, I wouldn't gonna have to bring a dog home. I hate to tell y'all, I'm not a big pet person. Never owned a pet in my life. But number two, I said, oh, the Wolfpack offense, they're gonna give you a shot. They're gonna give you a shot. Instead, we saw predictability beyond measure. Instead, we saw our momentum when we did have something going ruined by trick plays. What are we doing? You just got a first down, doing what you do, being who you are, and then your thought is, oh, we need to get tricky. We need to get cute. Quick question, Grayson. How many successful trick plays have we run all year?
I'm failing to remember any at this point. And by the way, just real fast, how much harder could we have telegraphed that a trick play was coming? You put up Wesley Grimes in the backfield. You line up Hollywood Smothers out wide. You have motion. Everyone in the stadium knew that something inordinary was about to happen. And guess what? The defense for Notre Dame, they're ready for it. Very nearly hit the defender in the back of the helmet with the pass from Hollywood Smothers. That's how ready for that they were. Just a brutal play call in that scenario.
Hickory dickory, some more Dave Doran trickery. Boy, it's a special at this point, ain't it? Well, it's a disappointing feeling. It's an empty feeling. And I feel like this was the official kind of, this was the official moment where it really set in for me what this team is. Because I could give you, even if we look at the Duke game, you could still say the offense had more than a pulse. The offense kept us in the game. If you look at all the other games this season, you could say the offense has shown up and shown stunningly and very well there. This time, what do you say? What do you say? This time, when you look at the rest of the season, what do you say? What do you say? Oh, maybe we could play spoiler for Georgia Tech. Maybe. I mean, we're going to beat the Dirty Foot Club. Cool. That's about it. And that's a team that they're the coaches are looking to flee from the ship already. Is that it? Is that all we got to look forward to? I'm not disappointed to see people in the comments saying, hey, it's basketball season. I'm not disappointed to see people in the comments right now saying, talk some Will Wade, because I'd love to at this point. I'd love to. Quite frankly. I'd love to talk some Wes Moore at this point. Because if our football team is going to put on a performance like this, and if our coaches are going to have us go out like this, to where you're down 29, 3-4 minutes left, and you're exclusively running the ball with your starters, what are we doing? What are we doing? This was a very unserious performance by our offense, and this was an unserious performance by our coaching staff as well. This was very disappointing, to say the least, and I walk away from this game solemnly feeling like anything over 5 wins would be a shock to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say here on Saturday night, so it kind of makes sense that I have to run anyway. So we'll wrap this up here. 36-7 loss in South Bend, just a very disappointing show, because it's not exactly the end result that I see people crashing out about. And by the way, if you're crashing out about this game when very few of us actually believed the result would be the opposite, don't do that. Save yourself the trouble today. Don't crash out over this loss, because again, the end result, it is what it is. It sucks. I hate to see them quit at the end, because that's something that we were able to say, well, at least they don't quit. At least no matter what happens, this team won't give up. At the end of this game, they gave up. Yeah. And once you start giving up in games, then you reach the point, it's like, okay, well, then why are we doing this? Why are we lining it up every Saturday? Why should the fans come to the stands if we're going to quit when things don't go our way? That part is disheartening. We'll probably talk a lot more about that on Monday as well. But going to wrap this thing up here. 36-7 loss in South Bend. Tough one. But we're on to the next. Actually into a bye week now. I assume that's probably much needed at this point. 7 straight games without a bye. Now they go into a bye week before heading on the road out to Pittsburgh. That will do it for us here Saturday night. We'll see you all again on Monday. So until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.